Oh, okay. Maybe.
but I don't know.
So let me just ask. If you guys are watching us through this group, I see Kim is on. Kim, can you see us on a real time talking? Still kind of fairly new with this. Ed, can you see us and hear us? So let me just ask. If you guys are watching.
There's a delay, so there's a delay.
There's a delay, so we have to like patiently wait for someone to hear us. Okay, awesome. Yes, Kim said yes. Wonderful. So
Yay.
welcome everyone to the call. I am super excited to have my incredible friend Tracy O'Mally on with us. She is absolutely magnificent and really holds a very special place in my heart. And I didn't bother to get your bio, nor did I want it, because I want to describe to people how I know you. I remember one of the first times that you and I met. We were at Celebration in, I believe it was San Diego, and I was drinking wine, and they probably called my name 4 times, and I didn't realize that I was being called up for something. And you and I were announced as President's Quest winners. And we were very new. We were a year into this, and we had earned a trip to Paris and Rome. And so myself, you, Deanna, and 3 other incredible women, we got to spend time with the founders of our company, and more important, we really got to spend time with one another. And I know me, you, Deanna, we have a very special bond because of it. You are a single mom of 2. Joey and Casey, they are incredible kids doing magnificent things, but I would only expect that with a mama like you. I'll ask you to share a little bit of your isogenic story, but what I know was that you weren't really feeling your best self. You were pretty much at the bottom of your rope. Alcohol, just bad breakup. And you put the products into your body. And I know that at first you were very resistant. You're a tough cookie like me. We can say it in New York. You're a tough biatch, and I like that, right? And you were not going to tell anyone that you were putting this crap in your body. and then something magnificent happened, and I'm going to fast forward and just share with people that Tracy hit millionaire in under 3 years. Tracy is top 50 income earner in the entire company. She has earned the Heart of Isogenics, Woman of Isogenics, top achievers, top leader. I mean, everything there is to crush in this company, this woman has crushed it. And she's also gone on to write a beautiful book. They're laughing because I said biatch. Hi, Amy. And you recently wrote an incredible book called Grace, Grit, and Guts. And because a lot of what it took is exactly that. And so I'm so happy to have you here. I'm so excited that you get to bless our team. And guys, if you're on here and you're watching this, this really is a blessing. This woman is phenomenal. She doesn't do calls for just anyone. So get your pen and get a paper, and please help me welcome the amazing Tracy O'Mally.
You're so awesome. I just love you so much. I'm so glad you didn't ask for bio. I never give it out anyway, like even when people ask me, because like none of that, and this is kind of where we'll go with this, I'm sure a little bit later, is I think sometimes we get so fixated on what that badge says that we forget why we do things, and we forget to really make those true connections with people. We're so fixated on things that really at the end of our day isn't that important. So I'm more concerned with how we're connected, how we love each other, and how our souls met. So I love that. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for knowing me well enough to not to even ask. I love it.
So for those of you, for those people on the call who don't know you, share a little bit about how you came to Isogenics and where you were at that point in your life, because it really wasn't such a great place. And what I share with you guys is that most people don't come to Isogenics because things are perfect. In fact, they come to Isogenics because things are less than perfect, and they're kind of looking for an answer, a solution.
Yeah, when I came to Isogenics, I was at the long run of a lot of shitstorms, to be quite honest with you. In the course of a couple, very short couple years, maybe 2 years, I had gone through a divorce, foreclosure, the economy took a crap. I shut the doors on a business that I had previously. My health started to take a turn. What else? Oh yeah, a 12-day cancer diagnosis from my father. Like literally got the call, 12 days later he was gone. And then after that happened, when you lose a parent, and it was actually about 6 years ago to the day that I received that call. And to have 12 days to process your greatest mentor, the first man you ever loved, is leaving you. It really puts things in perspective that life is too short. Cliche came and whacked me upside the face with a 2x4. And after we laid him to rest, to try to go back to my life the way it was, I was in the corporate end of the car business. I was a badass at what I did, but I hated every second of it. Like you said, I'm a single parent. I have been a single parent now for 12 years. And 11 of those years, I have been the sole provider with no child support on top of it. So, when you try to go back into your life after a moment, like your dad passing away very suddenly, I was just turned 40 and I was looking at my kids saying, you can do and be and have anything you want to be, but I was living absolutely the opposite of it. And it took about 2.5 months for me to really not cope very well with that. I was internalizing everything, and my drinking kind of took a head of its own. And I had a drinking experience that wasn't a great one. I had had many that were really bad before that. But I knew at that moment that if I wanted something different, it was going to require something very different from me. And it was really the first time in my life I ever asked for help. And so after jumping out of a moving cab on Las Vegas Boulevard, I picked up the phone and called a friend of mine who had been in recovery, and I said I needed help. And so within a couple weeks, I walked into my boss's office and resigned from the only income I had, knowing that if I stayed there, it would be just a matter of time before my kids would be without a mother. And so then, my dogs might bark, sorry. Hey, come here. And so literally walked into my boss's office, and the next day walked into rehab for alcohol and eating disorders, and made the commitment. I'm gonna let them out. Sorry.
Please take your time. Hi, girls. I see everyone watching. Hi, Alina. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Maria.
Okay, sorry about that. So, I went into rehab knowing that I was going to give it all I had. This is to walk away from everything for at least 30 days was a huge deal for me, emotionally, physically, spiritually, financially. And I remember the first day in rehab hearing the statistics that about only 2% of us would ever maintain sobriety the rest of our lives. And in true Tracy Chicago form, I looked around at the room, I kind of did the math in my head and stood up and apologized to everybody because they weren't going to make it because I was the 2%. And so I'm happy to say I have 5.5 years of sobriety at this point, which is amazing. But, it's really safe in those walls of like a rehab or even, even our Isogenics events. It's a very safe place, right? And then we go out into our life and our real world and trying to integrate these tools that we get, whether it be an event or even rehab, to try and integrate that into real life and real time is a challenge. And I was going home to a very toxic relationship with a very active alcoholic and, trying to navigate through that. And then I was unemployed on top of it because I had walked away from my career. So I started the job hunt. And I remember sitting in interviews, and they were all in the car business because the headhunters were after me big time because I was really good at what I did. And I was just sitting there, and I remember stopping somebody halfway through an interview and just saying, I apologize for even taking your time because I can't do this. And I walked out. And on the 6-month day of my sobriety, I picked up my 6-month chip that morning, and 11 days earlier, I had purchased my value pack of Isogenics, and it had been sitting in my closet underneath a blanket for 11 days. And I woke up that morning thinking, you know what? You know, spiritually, my fitness is really good, but physically, I feel like a truck hit me every single day. And I wasn't sure why. So I decided to very quietly, in secret, open up the box and blend my first shake and do my first shot of Ionics. And by the time I got home later that afternoon, 4 people had noticed, including the 3 that I was living with, that something was different. And so on day 4, they're like, Mom, what is going on? What, like, seriously? And I'm thinking, like, they're up to something, you know, teenagers, they're just like, have their own agenda. And the boyfriend at the time did too. He's like, what's going on with you? You look amazing. And I took him over to my secret hiding stash of Isogenics. Said, I don't know what's in this stuff, and I don't even know if it's legal, but I slept through the night for the first time since I was 7, and I feel better than I've ever felt in my life. And I opened up behind the chips and salsa, and there was my Isogenics. And it took 3 more days. You know, I kept like thinking the shoe was going to drop because so many shoes had dropped, you know. Yeah. The carpet had been pulled out of me so many times. I was just waiting for this to fail. And I remember waking up on day 7 with a nudge in my soul. And I had prayed on that airplane ride back to see my dad, hoping I made it before he died. And I did. But in that plane ride, I was unconsolable. I had the ugly, snotty prayer with snot bubbles coming out of my nose, praying for an opportunity to never be in the position again when a family member needed me. I wanted an opportunity where I could just drop everything and go, not worry about what the checkbook said or what a boss said or the calendar said. And lo and behold, 6 months later, all of a sudden it hit me that thing that I prayed for showed up in a box of Isogenics, and I was freaking out because I Googled the company on day 7 and I found out it was one of those things. And I was like, oh, hell no, hell no. And, you know, I was humbled very quickly. I'm like, hey, you're unemployed. The timing, you know, God's timing is never wrong. And so on day 7, I scripted up my very first Facebook post on my own with no supervision, no kind of help. I just spoke from my heart with no pictures and just spoke on emotion. And 53 people wanted to know what I was doing that very first post on April 1st, 2013. I sobbed my eyes out the day that I posted it because I'd never been vulnerable publicly before, ever.
Very, very scary.
Yeah.
And what I will share with you guys was that when she ordered a box, it wasn't like, oh, yay, I'm going to get started. It was like, my life is in ruins. Things are going to shit. You know, there's this crazy positive person posting all the time. I hate her, but I'm willing to try what she's doing. And you weren't a very pleasant person. You weren't like, here's my social, here's my credit card, I'm so excited. You were like, don't talk to me, just send me the stuff. Don't contact me. I'll call you if I need something. And it really, you know, it wasn't, you know, but think of the woman who posted. Think of the courage that it took. And this person who just lost her father, who just got out of rehab, sitting there praying for a solution. And, you know, thank God that this person, and I don't know who it is, and it doesn't even matter, but because she had the courage to post and share her story, you wound up here. And with your post, with your consistency, how many are in your downline, Trey, in 5 years?
76,000.
76,000 lives have been impacted because of you. Do you know how huge that is?
I do. And, you know, who did introduce me to it does matter because we joke about it. We were frenemies. You know, we had this deep love for each other, but personalities just don't blend very well. But we do love each other. And, you know, every day I'm grateful that she had the courage to do that. And, you know, it was one of those things where, you know, I didn't want to do this at all. I had, you know, literally to stay sober a lot of times, or, you know, a lot of you guys are experiencing it. When you change your life, sometimes you have to change the playground you play on because, quite honestly, most of us were toxic and not healthy before. And that's exactly what we had in our life and what was surrounding us. So needless to say, I needed to wipe out my entire local social network. So yeah, does that sound like a great opportunity and a time to start a network marketing company and business when you have no social network? And in fact, the social network locally that you do have all thinks you're crazy, have been talking shit about you. You are the black sheep of Gilbert, Arizona. Nobody likes you. Everybody hates you. They're calling you a horrible mother. And literally, I had less than 300 Facebook friends, I think, at the time. And so I was relying on that in the beginning. And, the people that hadn't seen me in 25 years were my very first customers, because it certainly wasn't anybody local. But I know a lot of people are on this call thinking, well, I don't know anybody. My network's not that big. Like, I literally had none. I had no support here, but my 2 kids and 1 friend. That's it.
No friends, no support. You had to cut everybody out because the people that you hung out with were either jerks or broke or drinkers. I mean, just really toxic people. And, it's so important for people to know you did not have upline support. I did not have upline support. I was the black sheep. But here's the thing. I saw something in this. I saw that I was worth it. I saw what little belief and confidence I had in myself. I felt that my children deserved it. So for people that don't believe that they're worth it, and for people that don't see that it's possible, what would you say to them? Because a lot of people are either new at this or don't have confidence. And I think the difference between us and some people who are not on this 6-figure level yet, it's that we've gone through the same failures, but either we were too gritty, too thick-headed, too damn stubborn, and we just chose to stay in the game despite it all. A lot of people simply throw in the towel, and that's not something I had the liberty of doing.
I didn't either. And I'm going to tell you, when you are faced with not only mortality with a parent, but knowing that by the grace of God, I was given a second chance to do it better. My best thinking had gotten me where I was, and I'm a very smart, educated, gritty, feisty, badass kind of chick. No matter what I did, I was always really great at it. But it wasn't my soul's calling. We only get one shot here, one, and it could be gone tomorrow. And we'll get into what that looks like today. But, I was looking at my children who were 14 and 15 at the time. And thank goodness I made the changes I made, with my own health other than isogenics, because I had seen, our kids, our teams, our people, they're going to do what we do, not what we say to do. And I was witnessing very quickly the legacy I was about to leave if I didn't make a switch immediately. And so no matter how scared I was, no matter how many tears I shed over starting a network marketing business, which I've never really done before, in, a space where, I was not really the epitome of health at this point. Why would people believe me? But I could tell the truth. I could be authentic. I knew that even though I was broke as a joke, and this is the God's honest truth, and most people don't believe me when I tell them, but if you talk to the first 10 people I enrolled, they would tell you this is absolutely the truth, is even though I was broke as a joke, when I was talking to somebody about isogenics, it was never about me or getting the double PIBs or, whatever. It was absolutely about helping this person feel as good as I was feeling. And I believed everybody deserved it as much as I did, and their families deserved the best version of them. And it was so funny because obviously nobody really knew what was going on too much with my life other than, some of the things. But I remember after about 8 or 9 months when I couldn't fly under the radar anymore, and stuff was popping up about what I was doing in this company, and my story was being told, and I was actually more comfortable telling the story. Those very first people on isogenics would come up to me in tears, and they would say, I had no idea you were ever going through any of that, because all you cared about was helping me. And so, especially if you're coming from a place where you need this to happen, you know what? I am a firm believer, if you help enough people get what they want and need, you will inevitably get what you want and what you desire and what you may need. And it doesn't always show up in the package that you want it to. So beware. But, my heart of service and knowing that I had a second chance at life and I was not going to mess it up. And I wanted to leave a different kind of legacy. And I wanted to break the generational patterns that have been going on in my family for, generations and generations. And I was going to stop it right then and there. And, I just did the work. I put my head down. People were saying lots of stuff, and I just, I was more, it's not that I didn't care what they thought, but it wasn't going to affect me because my vision was to serve people. And I knew it was between God and I. He knew my motives. He knew my intentions. And that's really all that mattered to me and the person I was talking to. So I just went after it. And, I looked in my back office and I studied it all day long, like every day. Because I'm not a big enroller, because I had no social network, because I was put on an inside leg, which is a gift. Anybody that showed up in my organization was a result of me talking to somebody. So I made it a point, because especially I wasn't a huge enroller, to get to know every single person that popped up. Every single person I got to know.
And so you look in your tree, you find these names, you look up their information, you reach out to them, and what do you say? Hi, I'm Tracy O'Malley. I'm part of your team. How can I assist you?
No, because that would be a little creepy and weird. First of all, I would find out who they're connected to. I was playing the 6 degrees of separation, and, more asking them, the people that actually they trusted to start this, I wanted to know their story. And by then, I had a few people that were interested in sharing it. And so, I would kind of like pick their brain a little bit and figure out more about that. I knew I had leadership capabilities long before I started Isogenics, and I know it always requires somebody to go first. And, I went first in rehab. I went first in lots of things. So I was willing to go first in this baby organization and just get to know people. And, it's kind of how that whole 14-day talk kind of started. It's like, how can we have a good conversation with everybody that isn't creepy or pushy? And it's just genuinely really wanting them to have the greatest success, regardless of what their vision is for it. And that's how that started.
And here's something very valuable, because what is your highest month to date? Your Isogenics month.
I think it was $130,000.
$130,000, guys, from a single mom of 2 kids to car sales industry to a network marketer, making in 1 month what it takes some of my friends to make in 2 to 3 years. I mean, I would say, what you're doing, Trey. But for me, every time you and I talk, you always, I've taken a lot of lessons away from you. And one of the biggest ones is you don't have to be a big enroller to be successful. All you need is a few good customers, a few good distributors, and a team that's thriving. And so...
Yeah, you don't need to be a big enroller. However, you must be a consistent one. And I always, every single month until this last year, without fail, like consistency is way more important than quantity, to be honest with you, because you always need to be having, your next generation of leaders come in. And so consistently every single month, 4 to 5 every single month. And that means a lot of conversations, at least 20 to 30 a month, at least.
What I will say is that even, we're all doing the do. This is my list of no's that I've gotten since June. It's work. We do the same thing. They don't magically come to you once you hit a certain level. So is it possible to create a 6-figure income with network marketing?
Without a doubt. It is a lot of work. It is a lot of stigma and a lot of, dings to the gut and to the heart sometimes when your closest friends and family start making fun of what you do, or, they won't ever comment or like any of your stuff. My family doesn't really do this. I have a couple family members that do it, and they never talk about it publicly. It's only when it's private that they'll acknowledge it. And that's fine, because it isn't for everyone. But it is possible. And the great thing about network marketing is, and especially Isogenics, because their compensation plan is unmatched. I am a numbers person, and I looked at that compensation plan day one and understood that cool. I didn't have to enroll like 8,000 people, but I needed to leverage the ones I did. And that meant being a leader to everyone, whether or not they were second down, 40th down, didn't matter. And I understood that right away. Doing the consistent work, I didn't take a day off for the first 3 years. And, that required some hard conversations with my children and setting, framing the expectations of what that would look like and getting them involved. And, for those of you with littler kids, you can get your children involved and on board in conversations that they can understand. Trust me, our kids want us happy and they are willing to help us. And in fact, you empower them the more that you bring them in the process. And I especially think with a lot of moms, I found this is that they have these compartmentalized lives. I'm a wife here, I'm a mother here, and then I'm an Isagenix rock star here. Where I see the most success is when you're okay having that really hard conversation in the beginning, because especially maybe you've tried other things before or made promises that you haven't kept, and you need to be okay with them not believing that you're going to follow through right away. I remember my stepmom, I was about 3 months into Isagenix and I still hadn't found a real job yet. And it was on the 1-year anniversary of my dad's death. And you met Marcia. I brought her to Paris, and and she meant this with love. And a lot of people will say negative things out of love and concern for you. It doesn't always translate that way in our hearts. But, and trust me, when I tell you what she said to me, you would be like, holy crap. But I know she was coming from a place of love and fear for me, because I'd been through quite a bit. But on the 3-month anniversary of me starting Isagenix, she said, you probably should get a real job. It takes really special people to make that kind of thing work. Mm-hmm. And I very easily could have translated that. I know. I could have very easily translated that as she doesn't think I'm special. And I understood that was, she was more fearful. And I remember, trust me, a year earlier, the Chicago in me would have came out on her and blasted her at that table. But, the person that knew that my track record hadn't been so great up until that point. And I just looked at her and I said, honey, I understand why you're saying that. And I respect you and love you so much. And you're going to have to trust me on this one. And if you don't believe me, just watch. And so literally, when I won ISA Derby less than a year later, I took her to St. Thomas. And then when we won, I remember when I told her that I won Paris, she was bawling and she goes, I have to apologize to you. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. It's okay. It was coming from, I know your intention was love. Yeah. And that's okay. And so I think a lot of times when we have those things happen, we just take it so personally, and you just can't. You just can't. But you have to have these hard conversations, and especially if your track record isn't good like mine wasn't. People aren't going to believe that you're in this.
Yeah, because usually, some of us have a tendency to put a foot in, take it out, put a toe in, take it out. One of my favorite Tracy O'Mally lines is take off the masks. And I've been implementing that into my business for a good, 3+ years. And when you said take off the masks, it really showed me that more people are attracted to somebody who's real, who's raw, who's honest, who's not afraid to be vulnerable, who's not afraid to talk about their past. It's more, I hear a lot of people say, I'm going to wait until I get to the end result to share. But you know what's sexy? What's really attractive? It's the journey. They want to watch you go through it. And I think the fact that you and I have been so open and honest and just never really cared too much about what people thought, that's been some of the reason for the success or the growth that we had. I see too many people are holding themselves back because they want their neighbors to think that everything is perfect, or they don't want their people to think that they're one of those. And just taking off the masks, let's talk about that, because there's nothing better than raw, real honesty.
Mm-hmm. And, I don't just take them off. I smash those damn masks. Because if you just take them off, you have a tendency to go back to them when things get hard. And so we just smashed those mothers just so we can't even, go back to it. But it's true, all those people that probably were talking crap about me, it's totally okay. I get it, whatever. I realize that that's a reflection on where they feel they're at, and it's fine. But for me and for my children, and, we've all probably done business with people, and aren't we more likely to do business with people that we know, that we like, and that we trust? Absolutely. And although I wasn't very well liked at times, and even to this day, people don't like me very much, and that's totally okay, but they trust me and they respect the shit out of me. They do. They do. And being trusted and respected is way more important than being liked. And I think so often that we put on those masks to get people to like us. And at the end of the day, I'm telling you right now, like, nobody gives a shit. They really don't. And if they do, it's more about what's going on with them. Like, and when I had to like own my own ego with that, like, am I really that self-absorbed to think that everybody is spending all this time thinking and worrying about what I'm doing? Like, no, they got their own crap to deal with. And, I think being transparent, even those, I've been doing this almost 5.5 years now. And literally people that I haven't talked to in 20 years are coming out of the woodwork, not necessarily for Isogenics, but they want to know how to smash their freaking masks too. Or my old boss has called me in to basically clean house of his organization because I know how to make things happen because I'm as authentic as you can get. And does it shock people? Yeah. They're not used to authentic people, but somebody's got to go first, you guys. And you know what? Like I can't even imagine if I had held back. When I look at those 76,000 people and I look at, several of them have passed me, and it's awesome. Like, great. I know that their families, their legacies are going to continue on. It's amazing. But those families hadn't been changed had I not said yes and been so authentic, because those top earners in my organization never would have come to me if I wasn't raw, real, authentic. And they knew my shit storms of the past. And they couldn't believe that I was so publicly saying, this is who I was. I screwed up. But when you know better, you do better. And you just walk your talk every day. And people like that. They may not say it. It may take 2, 4, 7, 20 years for them to say something. But if you really believe you're in this for the long haul, then what difference does it make how long it takes?
Yeah.
What difference does it make? You know what? The right people show up at the right time. And there are people that are showing up today that there's no way in the beginning stages of my Isogenics they would have showed up. I'm a very different person today than I was even a year ago, than I was 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And I thought, and I'm not discounting who I was then because I was pretty freaking amazing, but I'm always evolving. I'm always growing. I'm always stepping into a new level of vulnerability and authenticity and humility. And I think that, with no matter when algorithms change or anything changes, I'm never affected by that, ever. I have never been affected by algorithms changing. I still get tons of activity on everything I do because I'm showing up authentic and raw and real, and people want to know what's she going to do next, what's she going to do next, how is she going to blow our mind next. And so, you know what, just keep putting yourselves out there, guys. I promise you, yeah, you're going to get shit. Oh, well, it's better. Wouldn't you rather know what ones you have to weed out earlier than later? Like I do. Like, okay, yes. Cool, peace out.
Yes. Absolutely. I was kind of doing the math and I said, well, if you rank advance once a year, like 1 star a year, you can literally max out your business center and earn $700,000 in 8 years. Most of the millionaires hit it in 4. I did some averages and most of our millionaires hit it in 4. So isn't it worth it for 4 years to work like nobody else, to have the life that most people don't have? Every no was worth it. Every time I didn't want to get on a call, tonight I didn't want to get on a call. And I got on the call and she shared the most magnificent story with me and signed up. But I said, thank God I got on a call with her. I don't know who helped who more in this conversation? Did she bless me, or am I blessing her? And it's the times that you don't want to do it. It's the times that you don't feel like doing it. You know, doing something is better than doing nothing. So I have a question from one of the gals. How did you figure out what to do? I don't feel like a leader. I don't feel like I know what I'm doing.
Well, first of all, everything that you could ever want. I mean, as far as learning how to do network marketing, Isagenix gives you everything you would ever need. I learned everything that I ever needed to know from my back office. As far as being a leader, this is where it gets tricky. Like literally you have the blueprint to make millions of dollars in your back office. You never need an upline to help you. You never need anything but your back office truly to know what you're doing. That is the
Google.
GTS, Google that shit. Like that, like anybody ask me anything at GTS, baby. It's very true. But literally everything I learned about network marketing and Isagenix originally was in my back office, and they've made it even better today than it was 5 years ago. Now, here's the tricky thing about being a leader. And I walked into a room 2 months in as though I already had been a millionaire. And I knew I was going to get there. I truly believed I would. I knew how fast I was going to do it. In fact, I did it a year faster than I thought I would. To be honest, I had 3 years in my radar how fast I was going to do it. I actually did it in 2. But I acted as if. It wasn't being fake, but it was like I had that posture like, we are going to do this, you know, and people get wrapped up in that emotional intensity, like we are doing this and I am here with you and I'm in the trenches with you. And I never left the trenches with those people. In fact, my best teaching is in the trenches that nobody sees. It isn't on a stage in front of 20,000 people. It isn't even on a Zoom call. It's in the trenches every day, the stuff that nobody sees on Facebook. It is that. But you have to really in your heart believe, like the fact that she just said, I don't feel like a leader. Well, she's right, because she already believes that she's not. Yeah. You have to find that deep place in your soul that knows you are. You are. And this is the problem I have with personal development. And I love personal development. And this is the issue that I do have with it is a lot of people that come to this, they don't expect the personal development that's coming with it. And then they see somebody, maybe even like me, that skyrockets, or you that skyrockets really fast. And they like, well, I can't do it that fast. And here's the thing, like 6 months prior to coming to Isagenix, my full-time job for 6 months was to get my head on right. And I very easily could have believed I was a piece of shit when I started Isagenix because of all the things that I had been through and all the horrible decisions or circumstances that had happened to me. I very easily could have let that be my story.
Yes.
However, I went to work very hard to heal a lot of the things that would have let me believe that. And that's where personal development is great. And it's also not great because we'll crack people open, we'll trigger them to feel something, and then we don't always give them the tools how to personally develop themselves. We have every Isagenix tool and network marketing tool we could ever ask for. We do. And if you're really feeling like maybe you can't be a leader, then find a coach, find a leader. It may take an investment, it might, to really work on you. I mean, I've had a team of sponsors outside of Isagenix. I have a counselor outside of Isagenix. I have a coach outside of Isagenix. Did I have all that in the beginning? I had a counselor and I had a sponsor, you bet. I had somebody holding me accountable, pouring belief into me. You guys are blessed. You have Angela. Are you kidding me? Like, that is a blessing. That is a blessing. And she will match your energy with energy. But if you're moping around thinking you're not a leader, until you believe that, until you act as if, she can't really do much with you. So you're going to have to find that place in you and really go back to some hard places and heal that little person in you that internalized that maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago. And that's what I've had to do, Angela. I've really had to go back and heal little Tracy that felt abandoned, that felt not good enough, that felt unworthy. And I've really had to go to work to heal her so that when all these beautiful Isagenix and network marketing tools came to me, it was easier for me because I was already healing that. So I couldn't be affected by, naysayers. So when my upline bagged on me and bailed on me bad. I didn't even engage in it. But it takes a lot of work that I've been very transparent about too. Like, that's the other thing, you know, I'm very authentic with, this is where I'm struggling today.
But you have to want to do the work. Wouldn't you agree? Like, I know you're a tough cookie. You know, when somebody says to you, Tracy, I want you to mentor me, I really want to do this business. Like, you have standards. You lay shit down and you're like, okay, you need to jump on these team calls. You need to have your event ticket. There was a time that you went to every single event that the company put on. Every single event in every single city, you were there. And I think that's an excellent demonstration of, I often hear Chris Harder say that before the stars comes the mindset. And I tell you honestly, if I see Kathy Coover writing shit down in a gratitude journal, I am getting a gratitude journal. If I see Tracy O'Mally jumping around to Tony Robbins, I'm getting a Tony Robbins ticket. If I see Susan Sly going to go pro, I'm going to go pro. You've got to be willing to do the do. You can't just say.
Yeah, and here's the thing with that. People, and I'm sure you get it, I want what you have. I'm like, great, then you're going to do what I did and do what I do. And a lot of people are like, well, no, I just want like the big picture. I'm like, you know what? Like, you can't get to that without doing this stuff. And, you know, I still do that stuff today, the stuff that isn't pretty, the stuff that's messy and ugly and nobody wants to talk about. And, you know, even with my book, you know, I wrote that on my deathbed, believe it or not, and I haven't even read it yet. And I remember when my stepmom read it, she was one of the first people to read it. And she said to me, she goes, you know, I, more than anybody, know how hard you work on yourself. She goes, I do. And I know how much work you've put into your personal development to be the person you are today. She goes, but I had no idea how hard it was. And it was, you know, I just, you know, if you want something different, it requires something different. And yes, that means, you know, financial investments. It means skin in the game. It means leaving people behind. It means making hard decisions. It means all those things. Is it worth it?
Yes.
It is. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Healing is hard. Forgiving is hard. Letting go is hard. Growing is hard. But what would have been harder? Staying exactly where I was 5 years ago with the same broke dicks, the same people, the same time. I mean, I have 2 girls. We have 2 children that are watching us, you know, and I tell you, you show up, you do it, you're there. You've never made any excuses. And I really think that the people who want this have to do it, have to plug in, really have to grow.
Here's where it gets tricky. So I am pretty gritty and I am tough as nails. And I had done so much mindset work and so much soul work. You know, we got mind, body, and soul, right? Yes. And this is where it gets tricky, is I don't know anybody that does more mindset work or personal development work than me, to be honest with you. It's just the way it is. And when my body started telling me things, I thought I could mindset my way out of it. And here's the thing, like, you have to allow yourself, and this is why feeling your way through a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about is so critical. Like, it's good to get the mindset work. You got to be okay in your soul and know that and believe that you are a beautiful gift from God. Like, you are a beautiful, beautiful, worthy, amazing human being with such gifts. And this body that we are blessed with is a beautiful miracle and vessel to do the beautiful things that we do. And I had mindset down, I had soul work down, and I was still judging myself. I was still ignoring every time my body was trying to tell me something wasn't right until I couldn't anymore. And I remember when that happened and my brain had shut down. I couldn't speak anymore. And that's what I do for a living, right? I talk to people. I couldn't put a sentence together. I couldn't get out of bed. And all of a sudden it was very clear to me, like, oh, mind, body, and soul, mind, body, and soul. And a lot of times we just bypass what our heart, which is our body, is telling us. You know, I'm an instinctual person and I trust my gut all the time. And I knew something was wrong and I was being proactive, but my mindset was like, you know what, suck it up. Suck it up, put on your big girl panties, which yes, that's very important. And you have to have that insight about your own body. And that means not shaming it as well. And I know a lot of you guys on this call are thinking, well, I'm not going to share it till I have like this rock star before and after picture. And I had those pictures and I was still shaming the crap out of it. It's going to be better. It's got to be better. You know, and all of a sudden we become leaders and we think we got to look a certain way and play the part. And that's all bullshit. It is all bullshit, because in the striving for that, I was ignoring what my body was trying to tell me, even when I was pumping it full of amazing stuff. Yeah. And it really put things in perspective this time last year. I mean, my will was being rewritten. I was making my own funeral arrangements. That's hard stuff. Hard stuff. And we can get into that a little bit and what all that work 4 years prior meant when that happened. Because, I mean, the absolute number one way wealth gets wiped out, even from people that are very rich, is an unexpected health crisis. And thankfully, we are with a great health and wellness company. And as we know, it does not cure, treat, prevent anything, right? And even doing all the right things, my body was failing me. My body was failing me. And thankfully, because of all the hard work and because it was never the Tracy show and because I kept it so simple and used the tools and made them use the tools and then said, go fly, go build your own teams. You don't need me anymore. I'm here as a mentor if you need to bounce stuff off of, but you don't need me anymore. And thankfully I did that, because when I had to go off grid for all of 2017, I pretty much ghosted out my life to get well. My business grew. And I still was in the top 35 of the company, taking a year off. And that's what all this whole call is about, is this work at the front end is so important. I would be dead today had I listened to all the naysayers, because I couldn't have financially made the decisions I made with my own healthcare and gone rogue and totally, completely bypassed any insurance company that was denying me. And it's so important. And I didn't have to, wipe out my investments. I didn't have to wipe out anything. But it was because of that work on the front end. It was because of the mindset work, the soul work, and now the heart work that I'm doing. Like this last year's been all about having all three work in tandem with each other. Because if you do this, and this is blocking it, it's going to be a struggle every day. Yeah. And if you guys were at NYKO, you heard Peta talking about kinking the hose. If you don't have this heart space right, you're kinking your hose, even if you're pretending you aren't.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you guys that don't know, and we won't get too into it, Tracy had a health scare, and it really is magnificent that an entire year you took off to find a cure, find a solution, heal yourself. You didn't need to rely on insurance companies. You didn't need to worry. I remember when Casey was applying for school, you were able to pay for her, I don't know what it's called, cosmetic school. I don't know what the terminology is, but it's liberty. It's freedom. People don't understand why we work, why we come out of our shell, why we do the things we do. It's so that I don't have to ask my ex-husband for child support. It's so when I'm sick or if my daughter needs services or therapy, I don't have to wait for insurance approval. You can give yourself the things that you deserve. You can leave a legacy for your children. You can put enough money away for each of your baby's college that they're all going to be safe and secure. And it's not about the money. It's never about the money. It's about the families that you can bless because of it. Go ahead.
And the freedom and choices. My insurance company denied over $150,000 worth of medical expenses. What would you do if you knew that the only thing that was going to make you better wasn't covered by insurance? What would you do? And I will never forget, my very first event was 5 weeks in. And literally, 2 days before, the boyfriend walked out on me. finally he had had enough of this new and improved version of me. And I was just putting basically this big mirror up in front of his face, and he didn't want to face what he was. And so without warning, he walked out on me and left me with all the bills to our household. I literally came home, the dog was gone, he was gone, all his crap was gone. And the same day, my closest friend of 10 years was writing me this scathing text telling me I was a horrible mother and that I was a piece of crap. And this is a friend I'd had for 10 years. The same day, I was walking into my very first Isogenics event, and I very easily could have sat in the parking lot and cried, which I did do, and felt sorry for myself and believed what they were saying about me. And I just knew that hot mess and all, I needed to walk in those doors, and I did, with mascara running all over my face. I'm sure people were like, whoa, what's going on there? It's a little scary, because I mean, you guys go to Isogenics events and it's all happy people, and here comes, this hot mess walking in. But I remember the first person I heard was Susan Sly, which it's such a blessing to call her one of my best friends today. But she was speaking my language. And then the second person I heard was Lynn, who personality-wise, we could not be more different. But she said something to me that stuck out, and I will never forget it. And I will share this. She said, build this like your life depends on it. And, when I heard that, it brought me right back to July 6th of that year. And, that airplane ride, like I wanted to build it like my life depended on it. So if something happened, I could do that. And so my first goal was exactly what you said. I had so much resentment about not receiving child support that I wanted to make enough to never have to worry about it again, so I could let go of the anger and the resentment and the bitterness that was obviously affecting my kids. The second one was, I want to build this like my life depends on it, so my kids don't have to bust their ass to get scholarships, because that's really the only way they're going to go to college, right? Once I knew I was going to do that, my next build this like your life depends on it was because my team's life depended on it, because I needed to know the way, go the way, and then show them the way. And so it was about their lives depending on it. And then once we were doing that, and we have millionaires, I think we have 4 or 5 millionaires in our organization now. And then it was like, okay, now all of a sudden mom gets diagnosed with breast cancer in the middle of my own health stuff. And she's on disability and Medicare. And chemotherapy is 10 grand a pop. And Medicare pays 80%. She doesn't have $2,000 laying around and all that. So I was able to build this like my life depended on it for her, and pay all her medical expenses and say, you just get well. To have 6 months later, I never thought when I heard build this like your life depends on it, that my own life actually would. Yeah. 5 years into this. And we thank God.
Not everybody needs a why that's going to make them cry. I always thought that was such BS, because quite honestly, for me, it was to pay a bill. Paying my Verizon bill wasn't going to be a why that made me cry, but it was something that I desperately needed. Getting out of that crappy apartment in Brooklyn, it wasn't a why that was going to make me cry, but at that time I needed it. And I love what you're pointing out, is that life changes, scenarios change. Mm-hmm. You want to be prepared for whatever comes.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, like, when my own life depended on it, to be able to look at my children, and I guarded them from a lot of it. We've talked about it today. It's one of the areas I'm not so great at, especially when I'm in that I don't ask for help very well. I kind of isolate. Not a strength, definitely not a strength, because there were people trying to bust down my door to be there for me. But I was kind of like in the zone, like I just got to focus. And I think that was okay. But I remember looking at the kids, and they're like, I'm going to figure this out. You don't have to worry about the house, because I know my son, he feels me. And he was looking around like, are we going to be okay? I'm like, even if something happens to me, you are going to be okay. This is your home for the rest of your life. I've made sure of it. And, life can change in an instant. And my own really did. And honestly, I wouldn't wish what I've been through the last year and a half on anyone. However, it is the greatest gift I was ever given, because it gave me a new level of perspective, a new level of compassion that I was lacking, especially when we're dealing with people in their health. I was super Judge Judy, like low key, and I didn't even realize it until this kind of happened to me because I was doing everything right and I was still hit with something. And, just a level of humility and just like people ask me today what my definition of success is. And yeah, it's freedom and choices and being set up. And that is all very, very important. But there is nothing like the ability, because of those freedom and choices, to be 100% present with whoever you are with. Like right now, I'm talking to you and your beautiful team, and nothing else in the world matters to me right at this moment. To me, that is success. And I think so many of us have, the hamster wheel going on in our head. And myself was included in that a couple years ago. I got to do this. I got to do this. Oh my God, I have to look like this on that stage and look like this and show up to this event like this. And no, like success is having freedom and choices. So when you are in front of any human being or any animal or any child or anyone, you can be 100% authentic, who you are, present, and being love, just love and light, because the world honestly needs more of that. And the more we can lead by example with that, the bigger impact we're going to make worldwide. No question.
Yeah, I love it. So I have one more question that someone's asking me. How do you motivate people? I want my friends to do what I do. I'm trying to, cast a vision for people. I try to show them the opportunity, and it seems like people are joining me for the products, and after a few months, they're gone. I think I know Tracy's answer. I think Tracy would say she don't motivate anybody.
Like literally, the worst thing somebody can say to me is, I need you to light a fire under my ass. And I'm like, no.
I had a girl with 2 million BV in her back office tell me that she needed a motivational call every Monday. I said, look in your back office. There's your motivation, my friend.
And here's the thing, something I learned in recovery is, I don't go around, like if I'm at a party or something and people are drinking, I don't go around saying you shouldn't do that or you need to do it like this. Like, quite honestly, the best way to motivate anybody is to walk your talk and lead by example and be attraction rather than promotion. Like I have never, and I know this is probably bad to say, but I never would hit up people, especially like at my kids. This is a good example. My son's baseball game. I would park my chair there and, I'd be cheering him on. I'd do a few things here and there on my phone, but mostly I was present. And then all of a sudden I saw all these chairs pile up around me. And this one lady looks at me and she goes, so aren't you going to pimp us or tell us what you're doing? And I was like, oh, what do you mean? What you're doing. I'm like, oh, did you want to know what I'm doing? And it was because I was just living my life out loud. And, not a lot of times I see this a lot is we don't mean to do it, but a lot of times we come off pretty judgmental on social media and condescending. Like if you're not doing what I'm doing, then you're a piece of shit. Or if you're not doing what I'm doing, then your job is stupid. And, quite honestly, this isn't for everyone. This isn't for everyone, but if you want to motivate people to be a business builder, then you need to be a business builder whether or not they do it anyway. And that's the problem, is I was a business builder whether any of my friends or family showed up, because I was just going to keep doing the do, even if it meant doing the compensation plan to my cat, which is what I did the first few months. Nobody would show up.
What is the do, Tracy? For so many new people, I see so many new faces. What does it mean, doing the do?
Well, in the beginning, until you have anybody, if you have anybody in your tree, then especially, you're probably part of your product page or whatever we call it today, the health page, right? I would be in there every day, at least 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at lunchtime, and 30 minutes after kids went to bed, loving on people, supporting them. Putting information, adding value to people, building people up. You are part of an amazing health page. You have somebody that you could do the do. And what would happen is my people, whether I said you need to do this or not, low key, they were sitting back saying, I want what she's got. I want what she's got. And when they actually did say, I want what you got, I'm like, great. You've been watching me. do what I do. So you need to do what I do. And so many of them, especially the ones that fall off, especially if you fall off, if you're not in your health page supporting the crap out of people, you can never expect to have a business builder in your team ever, because they're going to do what you do, not what you say to do. You can say do it, but if you're not, they're like, whatever. And so I was always the most active in my health page, always. And so when they would say, I want what you have, I'm like, great, this is what you do with the people you do have. Now you're going to have to be on social media, and a lot of people don't want to do that. I would highly encourage you to be vulnerable and authentic, which is really important. And don't rely on social media. Don't do a post and expect everybody to come to you. Like, you're going to have to go into your friends list and really care about who's in your friends list and get to know them and genuinely comment on their stuff, not to maybe get them in your team, but to start connecting with people. You will start showing up in their newsfeed. They'll start paying more attention to you. Will they join you? I don't know, but it's definitely a start, and it's a free resource. And then what I did in the beginning, especially since I had no social network locally, I started taking different gym classes. You know, I don't like to stay in one place, so I take like a HIIT class 1 week, a CrossFit class 1 week, a hot yoga class, and I'm more introverted by nature, so that is a challenge for me. And then to make small talk, that is like pulling my fingernails out and making small talk. I can't stand it. However, I mean, it all starts with a hi, how are you? I love your Lulu pants. Are those new or older? You know, and it starts there, and it's still so awkward for me. But I wanted something different, so it required something different. And then as people showed up in my tree, like I said earlier, I would figure out who they were connected to, who in my team was sharing it, so that we could have a conversation. I would have more of a conversation with the person that shared it with them to say, do you realize that you just shared it with your friend? Now this is what that looks like, and how awesome did it feel that you shared this with your friend and she's feeling good. Now let's help another friend. You know, and it wasn't pushy. It wasn't like you got to do this as a business. It's like people don't know what they don't know. And because I use lingo that is so not over the top or network marketing, it's like, hey, and I tap into people's emotional status. Like, how good did that feel? It wasn't about how cool was it that you made $80. It was like, how did that make you feel? Because people are driven by emotions. People purchase things off emotion. People decide on relationships out of emotion. Everything is driven by emotion and energy. And so the more that you can truly, care genuinely about people, and if you don't, this isn't for you, and you have zero attachment to the outcome, and you cannot go into any of these conversations with an agenda, because people, especially good business builders, will pick up on it. You might get great product users with that strategy, but you will never get a rock star if you go in with an agenda. Ever.
I love it. And it's a great,
I enrolled Tanya. Oh, sorry. Do you want me to finish that?
Yeah, please.
Sorry. I mean, most of your team, I'm sure, I mean, she's top 3 or 4 in the company at this point. I enrolled Tanya Kirkpatrick, and we had a history, and I knew exactly what she was going to do. I did. I knew the minute she said, I want what you got, and it wasn't the business. It was, she saw me on top of a mountain looking and feeling better than I've ever felt, and she was feeling like crap. And I knew exactly what she was going to do, and I knew I wasn't even going to share it with her in the beginning. Eventually I would, like 2 days after, when she was feeling great. But I mean, she's a rock star network marketer, and she had tons of network marketing experience, but I was tapping into her emotions of where she was at that moment. And because I cared enough about her, I knew where she was emotionally at that moment. And had I tried to say, oh my gosh, you got to do this, immediately she would have felt like, you're not here to help me. You're in this because you know what I can do for you. And that's why I believe she quickly gave this a chance. She quickly said, okay, I'm ready to have that talk now. And we did. We talked about it. But had I led with that and pounced on her, like, you have to really be in tune with people's emotions and where they're at and the problem they need solved today. Yes, I knew financially they needed this, and I knew that that would come, but she had to really trust me with her heart and where she was at that moment and her vulnerable moment. And so if you want a rock star like that in your team, you're going to have to be okay with it taking a while. You have to be okay with no emotional attachment to any outcome. You have to be okay with, leading by example until and then continue to. Like I still lead by example today. I do. And, you know, some people are watching, some people aren't. And those that come up to me, and you asked me earlier, you know, people do ask me all the time, I want you to mentor me. I want you to mentor me. And this is a great conversation. This girl had been to every event I've ever put on here in Arizona. And every single time after it, she'd come up crying and explain exactly where she was at. And it was usually, you know, 10 steps back from where she was at the last event. And she goes, I want to set up a meeting with you. And I said, okay, that's going to cost you $500. I said, and you're going to have to come to that meeting with something different than you've been telling me for the last 20 events. And in fact, I don't want you to come to another event until you take action from all the beautiful things you've learned from these events. Because here's the thing, it's great to show up at an event. It's great to take selfies at an event. It's great to write it all down in a notebook. However, and I've had people tell me, thank you for that inspiring event. And the very first question I ask, or even if any of you have ever come up to me and say, oh my gosh, you inspire me so much, one of the first questions I'll ask is, what action did you take as a result of listening to me? Because that's what matters to me. I don't care if you cry when I talk. I don't care about any of that. I don't do it for entertainment. I do it to give you a call to action that can actually change your freaking life. So if you are listening to speakers, and if you are into personal development, and if you are going to our events, which I highly recommend all of the above, pick one nugget from each thing and take freaking massive action on it. One thing.
Absolutely. I've often felt that you learn by doing the do. You can go to every event, you can watch every YouTube video, you know, but until you get out there and have these conversations, and it's going to be messy. It's going to be bad. Our first few enrolling conversations were horrific. I wish I had them recorded, but it's by doing it. And, you know, we talk a lot about being a leader. To me, being a leader is honestly giving a shit about people. That's a leader. It's not a title. It's not your star. You can be a leader and be a consultant. You know, being a leader is about falling down 10 times and getting back up the 11th.
And showing others how to do it, and showing others that you are going to fall down. Like long before I had millions of stars by my name, I was falling down and saying, oops, guys, watch how not to do this. Oh my gosh, like this is crazy. And just to the point of, you know, that first event, I heard that, you know, build this like your life depends on it. And then the you share, they share. And so after those were my two nuggets, my only two nuggets from a whole weekend at ICU. And so what I did, the action I took when I got home from that event, I said I was going to hit director the next week, and I did. I said I was going to be a millionaire before Joey went to college, which I did. But the one action I took from that event was I Googled that shit, found Lynn Hagedorn in the red blazer from NYC.
I love that. ACFTE.
Yes, and I watched it 100 times until I could do it. I did it over and over and over and over because it is in the action. And it's so funny. I remember that year that I went to all those events, and obviously my team, it was 2015, and all my team was coming because they're like, shit, if Tracy's going to be there, I better freaking be there. And I will never, this is classic. And this is what you want to happen. You want them to happen when you're on a stage, when I'm on a stage one day and your team looks at you and says, wow, she sounds just like you. Because my team was watching Lynn Hagedorn. They didn't really know, but I had duplicated her. I had taken massive action in learning that I sounded verbatim like her with my own kind of like vibe to it. But it was the funniest shit ever. They looked at me and they're like, she's doing your talk. I'm like, oh, you have no idea. Where do you think I learned it from?
Can I tell you something? That video inspired me so much because the woman, first of all, my friend Jen posted her results on Facebook, wanted nothing to do with it. So a total stranger signed me up. And because of my team, this total stranger hit millionaire in the company. It was crazy within itself. But this woman who signed me up, she wasn't doing this full time. And so if I asked her a question, I'm a red, I need the answer now, she wouldn't get back to me for 3 days. So GTS, I was Googling that shit. And I came across a video, this crazy curly haired woman who's like, I live in a place where there's more cows than people. And I'm like, oh my God, I live in Brooklyn, New York. I've
I
never
know,
seen a cow. If she can do this, I can do this.
right? Exactly. But it was that one thing. I took one nugget and it was an income producing activity. That was an income producing activity. If I know how to know the way, go the way, and then show the way, like if you get nothing else from this entire call, know the way, go the way, and then show the way. Like you have to do all three in order to build a legacy. And I learned by knowing exactly what Lynn was doing. I mean, she was the fastest millionaire in our company. It might be a clue that that's somebody that you should learn from. And so I did, even though I have a totally different, I mean, she's very soft-spoken and sweet and lives with
She's
cows.
very white. We're very red.
Yeah, I'm like a feisty Chicago Irish chick. Like, seriously, I was born to drink and fight. Like, seriously. So, you know, take a massive action, an income producing action, and teach, know it, go that way, and then show your team how to do it too. And it is never about you. Like, it has never been the Tracy show ever. I push them out of the nest and say, go spread your beautiful wings and fly, 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 fly. And they are. They are. Like, they didn't need me all of 2017.
Yeah.
All of 2017, they were doing the do.
And they're pretty amazing. I love the girls from your team. I remember hearing the story about Trish the fridge. Trisha, I mean, you found her, you poured some love into her. This woman literally sold her refrigerator to get started with a value pack, and now she's making a six-figure income with Isogenics. I mean, you hear these stories so much about how ordinary people are doing extraordinary things. And so I hope, my wish for you guys tonight is that you have found some value in this. You don't have to be a salesperson. You don't have to have any extraordinary talents. You have to love the program, love the products, care enough about people to want to see a change in them, help them. And when you have found enough customers who turn into a few sharers, you don't, I mean, Tracy didn't sponsor more than 100 people. Last time we spoke, it was about 100. Is it a little more now?
Oh yeah, I made my first $1 million with 82 people that I personally enrolled. It's close to 200 now, 5.5 years later, which isn't a ton.
Yeah.
But my first, you know, but it was leveraging everybody that showed up. And
82 people, guys, to $1 million. You don't have to enroll 800. It's not.
I worked with everybody. Yeah, I worked with everybody though.
Yeah, that's a big deal. I mean, I think that's people don't understand that every single person in that tree affects you. And for those of you guys that aren't really familiar with network marketing, we have a compensation plan unlike anything out there. Most people get cut off after 4 levels. So if someone is 5 or 6 levels, that's it. You lose them. They go away from you. Or if you have like points left at the end of the month, they flush away. Guys, my mom has like hundreds of thousands of volume and she doesn't even know what the hell it means. And I'm like, Mom, that's my gift to you. One day you'll be able to retire with that volume. My husband is cycling 8-9 times a week and does no business. No business. So for those of you guys that don't know, everyone's saying, thank you so much. So inspired. You inspired me to do this. Guys, we are like, it's funny, but I say like ISA angels. I mean, Tracy is one of the most selfless people that you will ever meet. And the reason why she has made a multiple six-figure yearly income is because she cared enough to help other people, help enough people to improve their health, and help enough people to improve their wealth. And that's the only way it happens. So one last nugget from you, my love, for the team. We have a lot of new people on this call watching. I'm excited about that.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And there's no better time. I mean, we're in a health crisis anyway. We're in a world crisis. I mean, there's so much going on in the world that people need love and light. And seriously, you have a vehicle to be love and light and a hero to somebody. I mean, seriously, I never imagined that Daphne would be one of my greatest heroes, to be honest with you. But her having the courage to say, this is where I'm at, and oh my gosh, and even meeting me where I was at when I was a total bitch and said, give me my box, shut up and leave me alone. She loved me anyway and said, absolutely, here you go. Let me know if you need help. And, you know, somebody's always got to go first. And if you want leaders, you got to be a leader. like I'm teaching this to my children. My son is involved in Young Life, and he's a leader here. And I was asking him the other day, and this is a really good lesson for you. The high school he went to had a really not great Young Life program. He never had, it's equivalent to an upline, let's say. You know, he didn't have anybody there like leading the way. And I remember him saying, I need mentors in my life, men mentors. He goes, you're the greatest mentor I have. But his, you know, his relationship with his dad is different. I said, well, then you need to be the mentor that you wish you had. You need to be like, I needed to be the parent I wished I had. And so he, you know, a few years later, he was the leader and the mentor that he wished he had for several other people. And it made him a better mentor and leader. And here we are, he's 20 years old and he's been offered a, you know, regional position in Young Life to be a mentor to our youth. But it wouldn't have happened if he waited around for somebody to mentor him. It wasn't happening in the environment he was in, so he went first and became that leader. And now it made him a better leader. If you are waiting around for that to happen, step up and be that leader. I didn't have that around me. I didn't want to tap into the resources that I did have. And so I wanted to be the leader that I wish I had teaching me, and it made me even better because of that. So that would be my probably greatest advice. I mean, you've got an amazing leader here. However, I mean, here's the thing, like there's 76,000 people in my team and not all of them jive with my style of leadership. Some of you may not like what I'm saying, and that's okay, because you can take what you need from me, leave the rest, and find a little bit from somebody else and a little bit from somebody else to make it you. But be the leader that you wish you had, or, you know, just be the one that you want to attract even more. I was showing up as the leader that I wanted to attract, and I have, you know, personally enrolled probably 8 six-figure earners, but it was because I showed up as that leader. And so if you want to attract that, then you show up like that, whether or not they're there or not, and they will come. I promise you they'll come.
I love it. What a beautiful story. I mean, single mom of 2 from rehab, you know, losing your dad. By the way, July 6th is my birthday, so I'll be thinking of your papa on that day. But I mean, what she has created is incredible. And what I share with you guys is that she is an ordinary, beautiful, kind person. And any single one of you can do this. And I really do believe that you are the leader of your organization. You have no one to report to. You have no one to answer to. How fast or slow you go is up to you. But, you know, I share with you that my life has significantly changed. Tracy's life has significantly changed. Physically, financially, emotionally, spiritually. And I just see how much you have transformed in 5 years. The growth is incredible. You've always carried yourself like a millionaire, but now you have the resources. When I watched you designing and decorating your forever home, I can tell you that I probably cried more than anyone else, because I knew what that home meant to you. And I knew how it felt, you know, having your boyfriend walk out on you, take the dog. You've gone through so much shit, Trey, and seeing you be where you are today, you deserve it. You all deserve it. And
all deserve it.
Yes, absolutely. And this is such an incredible vehicle. Thank you for being on, Sammy. This is such an amazing vehicle. And I will just share with you that there's not a day that goes by, not a Monday that goes by, that my husband and I are not sitting here in absolute astonishment that we can give this kind of life to our children. And so thank you for being on with us tonight. I am inspired. I don't know how to go to sleep after something like that, but I'm going to upload this recording so that you can share it with your team, because they deserve to hear it too.
And if you guys are posting anything on Facebook, tag me in it. I'd love to hear what you thought or what action you're going to take. It's great to be inspired and it's amazing, but I want to hear what action you're going to take or whatever. I just want to hear what you're thinking, and just tag me in it. I want to see you and I want to hear you.
Absolutely. And please go to Amazon.com and purchase Tracy's amazing book, Grace Grit and Guts. It's an incredibly inspirational book, and it'll most certainly get you through those tough times.
I love
So
you. Love you so
thank
much.
you. I love you for all you do. Mwah, my sister from another mister. You're my heart.
Save me a hug in Nashville, okay?
I will. I love you. Thank you so much, Tracy. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
Bye,
Thanks, guys.
Superstars. See ya.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Bye.